When we disperse from this gathering at the end, we want to see that all the participants, with the backup from their institutions, introduce agricultural programs that will be useful to farmers. The rest assured that NAC executive will conduct a routine follow-up exercises to see that what you have learned from this seminar is impacting a change in our individual lives and the lives of our farmer communities. No single person can handle the task of equipping our children for the future or build the NAC into a professional institution that will be capable of bringing new jobs to our people and communities alone. Now, more than ever, we must do these things together as one nation and one people. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, the fight against poverty and food insecurity is a formidable challenge that cannot be achieved in isolation. Journalists, as major contributors to the advanced development of the nation, must bear in mind that our single and responsible reporting on agricultural matters can bring to light a robust change in the sector. As we have targeted to accomplish, the days of tedious and meaningless farming activities is ending, and days of economic gains in agriculture has begun. Our possibilities in advanced agriculture are limitless if we embrace agriculture not just as a household-keeping activity, but as a lucrative business. We must change our attitudes and views towards agriculture and see it as a major driver of our individual, family, community, and national economy. Again, for this to happen, the media have a big role to play, and this is why we start rolling the ball. Ladies and gentlemen, as young people, we on this moment must bear in mind that our single and responsible reporting on agricultural matters can bring to light a robust change in the sector. As we have targeted to accomplish, the days of tedious and meaningless farming activities is ending, and days of economic gains in agriculture has begun. Our possibilities in advanced agriculture are limitless if we embrace agriculture not just as a household-keeping activity, but as a lucrative business. We must change our attitudes and views towards agriculture and see it as a major driver of our individual, family, community, and national economy. Again, for this to happen, the media have a big role to play, and this is why we start rolling the ball. Ladies and gentlemen, as young people, and we drive it, so long we drive it together and work towards a common development goal. If we take it up in our minds that we are not here to make merry, but to engage ourselves in serious work. I would like to take this moment, on behalf of the executive and members of the Network of Agricultural Communicators, to extend our humble appreciation to the government of the Gambia for providing us the finest working relationship in this noble cause, and for gracing this occasion and sharing their thoughts with us. To our Danish partners, one word that could have cut. We can no more meet the food demands of our population by acting alone. We, as agricultural communicators, have a role to play, and this is the sole reason for setting up this noble network. We hope the vigorous training and discussions of such magnitude, our members can be used as agents of change. Change that can bring a huge and healthy harvest and change in the mindset towards farming. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, NAC may not possess the needed agricultural expertise today, but with our individual commitment and collective actions, we envisage a day when we will not require external professions to help our farmers on what kind of fertilizers to apply on their crops, or what means to apply and get the best yield out of their farms. At this point, Mr. Chairman, let me emphasize that we must collectively have the vision that our gathering here for these 3 days is not just to come and receive information and that's it. As agricultural communicators, we must continue to advocate for best practices in agriculture at our media outlets, institutions and communities, and this we want to do with all stakeholders, government included, knowing that the President has urged Gambians to start thinking of growing what we eat and eating what we grow. When we disperse from this gathering at the end, we want to see that all the participants, with the backup from their institutions, introduce agricultural programs that will be useful to farmers. The rest assured that NAC executive will conduct a routine follow-up exercises to see that what you have learned from this seminar is impacting a change in our individual lives and the lives of our farmer communities. No single person can handle the task of equipping our children for the future or build the NAC into a professional institution that will be capable of bringing new jobs to our people and communities alone. Now, more than ever, we must do these things together as one nation and one people. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, the fight against poverty and food insecurity is a formidable challenge that cannot be achieved in isolation. Journalists, as major contributors to the advanced development of the nation, must bear in mind that our single and responsible reporting on agricultural matters can bring to light a robust change in the sector. As we have targeted to accomplish, the days of tedious and meaningless farming activities is ending, and days of economic gains in agriculture has begun. Our possibilities in advanced agriculture are limitless if we embrace agriculture not just as a household-keeping activity, but as a lucrative business. We must change our attitudes and views towards agriculture and see it as a major driver of our individual, family, community, and national economy. Again, for this to happen, the media have a big role to play, and this is why we start rolling the ball. Ladies and gentlemen, as young people, we on this moment must bear in mind that our single and responsible reporting on agricultural matters can bring to light a robust change in the sector. As we have targeted to accomplish, the days of tedious and meaningless farming activities is ending, and days of economic gains in agriculture has begun. Our possibilities in advanced agriculture are limitless if we embrace agriculture not just as a household-keeping activity, but as a lucrative business. We must change our attitudes and views towards agriculture and see it as a major driver of our individual, family, community, and national economy. Again, for this to happen, the media have a big role to play, and this is why we start rolling the ball.
Thank you very much, Amadou, for that marathon speech, but it is food for thought. And just key words I picked from your speech, and emphasis on the role that the media can play in helping transform agriculture to not just a daily, but an economic venture. And also the role that the media can really play to make sure that people change their attitudes towards farming. A lot of us here sitting will have this belief that farming is for, when you go into farming, you will not be rich. But I can tell you that farming is an economic venture, that when you venture into it, you can make a living. We've visited a farm in Mandinaba, And young people are making a living out of that farm, and they're just 5, but it is amazing what you will see on that farm. So, in fact, some of us at that point really thought that why am I in the offices? Why can't I go and pick up a land and start to farm? So, just to say that, Amadou, thank you very much for that speech. Now, on the program guide, we'll have a statement from our collaborators or our partners in the Danish Food and Agricultural Journalists. This association has been in existence for over 100 years, and they are helping us to be like them, if not even better than them. So we are so grateful that they are willing to collaborate with us, and they're willing to guide us all throughout. Like Amadou said in his speech, this is the second time that they are coming to implement a project. The first project was funded solely by the Gambia Press Union, and this one is funded by the Danish government. And we hope that we will use their expertise to law for more funds from the Danish government. So, Finn Anas, it's all yours.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Dear all. It's my pleasure on behalf of DFAJ to join in welcoming you to this 3-day conference. And I hope that you will contribute to a satisfactory or even a successful outcome. The conference is a result of multi-annual cooperation between NAC and the DFAJ, a partnership whose first concrete result was a 10-day training course which was planned and carried out in cooperation with DPU in November 2012. I was also a teacher of this course. It was my first visit to the Gambia. I was 2 weeks of positive and learning experience for me. The Gambia and the Gambian people that I met simply were welcoming and lovable. It was 10 days that gave the participants new ideas and inspiration to improve their journalistic work. It is a statement that I can make at this time point because last week on our research trip into the country, I met some of the participants and they confirmed that they started seeing things in a new perspective and hereby have been able to make better programs. As for myself, I learned a lot from the Gambian students. I have seen the importance of family keeping together and solidarity about neighbors. I have also seen now even small children are an integral part of everyday life. Work and family not separated. When visiting farms, I have seen how rewarding it is that all who work there meet and everyone get involved in the problems and participates to finding solutions. A way of living and a solidarity which we who live in a more technologically much more developed and efficient part of the world can learn from in order to find a better balance in our everyday life, where more and more people suffer from the negative side of always having to be shown empathy. Danish and the Gambian culture are different. However, I believe it is important to have an opportunity to exchange thoughts and ideas. It is in the dialogue between different attitudes and perceptions that new ideas and methods emerge, thus creating progress for all. The purpose of this conference is, as mentioned, to improve and develop agriculture in the Gambia through good and target agriculture journalism. In Denmark, education and information has been the key to the Danish agriculture society. But we also spent many years on developing it. DFAJ is an organization that had existed for more than 100 years. Cooperation between agricultural journalists and communicators have secured training, knowledge sharing, and thus more relevant and target information. Another factor that contributes to the development of Danish agriculture is the cooperation between farmers. Not only cooperation on knowledge and transfer, but on building large cooperative enterprises such as slaughterhouses, dairies, commercial companies supplying commodities to the farmers and other, taking care of global export and research institutions. A work that Danish farmers began 150 years ago. I hope that this conference will give us all inspiration to new ideas and be a mutual benefit, the beginning of an ongoing cooperation between the NAC and DFAJ. I wish you all a good conference.
Thank you very much, Phil, for that speech. Two keywords I picked from your speech, which is the collaboration between the journalists and the farmers, which have helped transform agriculture in Denmark. And we hope this is also going to be the case here in the Gambia. Farmers must really be willing to collaborate with agricultural communicators as well as the government, because the government cannot be left out. They have policies that needs to be implemented, that needs to be known by the farmers, that needs to be known by the journalists, so that together we can march in the same direction. And you also made mention that the journalists also cooperate with cooperatives. They help to make sure that cooperatives between the farmers form cooperatives, and their cooperatives are very powerful. When I was in Denmark a couple of years ago, I saw that, and in Sweden also I saw that, and I have seen how strong these farmer cooperatives are. So we hope that these cooperatives in the Gambia here, like the Farmers Platform, the NACOFAG, and all other farmer cooperatives would also be as strong as others elsewhere in the world. The cooperative in Sweden have a very big media outlet, and they do stories on all other stories relating to agriculture. Hopefully, one day or the other, you will end up being our employees, our employers rather. We can come and work for you as farmer cooperative. We write stories about you on your magazine. So we hope to see that in the near future. Next on our agenda is a representative from Farm Radio, who is Benjamin Fiapo from Ghana. He is our neighbor. He's going to also make a few remarks as far as this seminar is concerned, and for the participants in this course, you are going to get to know more about Farm Radio when he does his presentation on the final day of this project. And it's also going to help the community radios on how to network to make sure that community radios work effectively in the Gambia. So Benjamin, thank you so very much for coming, and you are welcome to the Gambia. I should say Akwawa.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to start by following the same protocol. Representative of the Action Aid Gambia, sorry. The Gambian Press Union, and then the Danish food and agriculture journalists, other stakeholders, NGOs represented, and then colleague journalists. I'm very happy to be part of this 3-day seminar, and I'm here representing Farm Radio International. Just to give you a brief information about Farm Radio is not a radio station. The Farm Radio International is an NGO registered in Canada, and currently we have offices in 8 African countries. And Farm Radio is at the forefront of using radio combined with other ICTs of smallholder farmers. We have been using radio to help African farmers for over 30 years now. And we send information through the various mediums. We have the Farm Radio Weekly, which is an online radio magazine that goes to partners with Red subscribed to this. We also send regular Farm Radio scripts to various radio stations that are also partners in the Farm Radio. Aside these two, Farm Radio International also uses the platform, the internet platform similar to Facebook, that brings together journalists, other resource persons like agriculturists, researchers together so that they can interact and then help each other in providing the necessary support to farmers. Farm Radio International send forth all this information from Africa. We are working directly from the African countries that we have offices in. We pioneered and proved the effectiveness of participatory radio campaign as a way of ensuring that farmers receive and act on information that they require. And we provide broadcaster training and radio station capacity development service to enable the production of more effective farm radio program. Mr. Chairman, consistent with our commitment to empowering farmers to achieve their farming, nutrition, and food security goals, Farm Radio International offers rural development NGOs and food security initiative a way to communicate with farmers and rural households and support their effort to innovate and affect change. Farm Radio International offers organizations to achieve their objective of communicating effectively within and among the value chain actors using the medium of radio, ICT platforms, and also adapting training programs to broadcasters and running specialized programs that aim to give farmers a voice in their own development. Farm Radio, our mission is to ensure that we strengthen radio stations so that the radio stations can provide the needed support to the farmers. And we are very, very happy that the network of agriculture journalists or agriculture communicators in collaboration with Danish food and agriculture journalists are here organizing this important seminar. Farm Radio International also started in a very small way like this, and for the past 30 years we've been working in a similar way, bringing together all kinds of journalists to put together what we have as Farm Radio International program. We use all media, from the script to the electronic and then the radio. And we are very much happy to be associated with what the network is doing in Gambia. And looking at the focus of this seminar, the seminar is focusing on local radio station as possible medium of communication to help improve information for farmers, and also to identify barriers for radio stations to find and air more relevant agricultural stories. This is what Farm Radio has been doing for the past 7 years in Africa.
Thank you very much, Benjamin, for that insightful remarks. At least you have given us a clue, or given the members here present a clue of what farm radio is, and I hope all community radios and commercial radio stations in this country will take this opportunity to partner with farm radio. Without wasting more time, because you've had Benjamin very clearly, and I think the words you have said have sink in our minds. I'll just call on the representative of the Gambia Press Union, Sana Kamara, to make a remark on behalf of the president of the Gambia Press Union, who we are made to understand is a little bit it's sick. Sana, welcome, and thank you for coming.
And then training unit from the Gambia Press Union. Last year there was a mission from Denmark with a friend here. Then as the coordinator, I was also involved in helping them on the ground. Definitely with strong support from Sam Mendy, who I work in the same office with. So Mr. Phil and your colleagues, it's a pleasure to be here too. Madis is he's my former employer, at the Daily News, and he was also my manager at Independent newspaper. And more of all, our relationship is gone beyond the newsroom. He's also my grandson. Maybe you should take note of that. my daughter is named after Madi's mother, so in the Gambian context, you can see how that important that is. So definitely, it's an honor to be on the high table with you all. And Amadou, and like I said, is a colleague. And Benjamin, welcome to the Gambia. I hope the next 3 days you also get to learn a lot of things from our Gambia media. We may not be as big or vibrant as the media in Ghana, but definitely we are also standing our ground, and we are giving our best given the circumstances. In your statement, Mr. Benjamin, you made mention of information and radio, how useful farm radio has been in your work. I'd like to make reference to a study that was conducted in 2002-2003 by the University of the Gambia to see how receptive the Gambian population was to the different media in this country. And you'll be amazed to know that over 65% of this population were, at the time, receiving their information or news through the radio. So it shows that in the Gambia, this population is radio biased. So since the network of agricultural communicators have chosen the community radios, I can see from the representation that many of you are definitely from the community radio. I think this is also difficult because dealing with the farmers, it is more effective to communicate with them radio than the newspaper or the internet. So I think this is definitely a good step. At the Gambia Press Union, we support capacity building activities. In fact, it is a principal mission that we stand to do in the Gambia. The Gambia Press Union, besides our lobbying and other activities we do, we are very much strongly involved in capacity building programs over the years. And I think this is definitely a good thing. And based on what Mr. President has asked me to do is to thank the Network of Agricultural Communicators for coming up with this initiative. And he has given his assurance that the GP will be there to stand by you throughout this program and even beyond. And they will always be there definitely to support your future activities.
Sana, actually Sana is my colleague at the Gambia Press Union. We'll move on, and now we'll hear from the representative of Action Aid, who is Madi Cisse, who, like you heard, Sana, has been in the media for a very long time. He's our mentor, and because we were expecting the Honorable Minister to have been here, but unfortunately, because of other engagements, he is not here. We have to substitute that for Madi, but Madi is not speaking in his capacity as a representative of the minister. He's speaking in his capacity as an employee of the Action Aid and also someone who's known the media for a very long time. So I think he'll be able to relate action aids activity, agriculture activity, and also journalism, how the media can be used as a tool for empowering the farmers in our respective communities. So Madi, thank you very much for coming, and let me say on behalf of my colleagues, thank you so very much for accepting to sit on this high table, even though it was on a very short notice, to give a keynote address and also declare this seminar open.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My colleagues on the floor, Dennis friends, was the president of the Farmers Network of Communicators, and a colleague from Ghana. Like you said, I'm not speaking on behalf of the ministry, but on behalf of actually International Gambia. But once a journalist, we are always a journalist, and in fact that is why I work at Waxenday. I work at Waxenday as a journalist, as I'm responsible communications manager there. So that's why the prompt invitation to make short remarks, I did not hesitate because it is a familiar trend. I want to thank the Davis first and foremost for their long collaboration with the Ghana Press Union. I can fully remember during my presidency, 29 years ago, the relationship between the Davis and the Ghana Press Union was during my period, and I can see it is going from strength to strength. So that's a worthwhile venture. And I also want to thank the network for coming up with this initiative for the Ghana Press Union, which is the parent body. I think it is beautiful for us to be in diverse sectors, because before what prevailed in this country is we are all just general reporters, we don't specialize. And lack of specialization in journalism have shortcomings, because you will not be fully informed in the area you are reporting. So I think it's beautiful now we have a lot of them in culture now on board. We had some journalists, sport journalists, environment, community, and various other sectors. It's a very valuable initiative, and I have no doubt that the Ghana Press Union will continue to encourage you to do different things. When coming to the theme of the seminar, we at the Action International Gambia share the same thing. We work towards eradication of poverty. So you can see we work also on the same thing, and some of the community radios that are here today as our partners, we give them some assistance, and I think from this seminar, I report back to the director, we have to expand that kind of relationship with other community radios so that we can see where we help, because as actually we can't be everywhere, and communication is a very important thing. We constantly, journalists can work anywhere, because you want to reach the people, you must come through us. But what we should also refuse is we should refuse to be used. I think we should just be partners, but not, we shouldn't allow people to use us. Because our job is very noble and professionals, and therefore as a result, we should refuse to be used, but rather to be partners in development. If the network wants to reach where they want to, that is the eradication of poverty, then they must be able to do a lot of research, and the members should also try to educate themselves. As journalists, we should keep on educating ourselves. How do we educate ourselves? We should do a lot of reading and enhance or read anything. I'm not sure we should also read books of knowledge. In no case, agricultural books should be your friends. We know you are going to be experts in agriculture. You are not also experts in agriculture. But you should try to collaborate a lot with experts in agriculture. That's all about journalism. I tell my colleagues, we are not experts in everything. But we want to communicate with people, and we want to come to a larger number of people. In that case, we have to partner, or we have to research a lot by dealing with experts. So if we want to transform agriculture in this country, then we must educate ourselves, we must listen to experts, we must research a lot. That's the time then we will equip. And once we are equipped, then we can be able to communicate to the people. That's the task I think we should undertake as agricultural communicators. And the programs, I think, like a colleague from Ghana said, they are not inconsistent. And we must create airtime for our farmers, and we must know when they listen to these programs. And it should not be a one-off. I think from this seminar, I don't know what is the resource persons, what areas they are going to talk about. I'm sure at the end of this 3-day seminar, you should be able to create airtime in your various media, and it should be consistent. If you do well,
to go out for a coffee break, and when we come back we will have the program guide before you to have our first presentation, and we move on. So I thank you very much for the time. We have to go out first for a group photo, and after the group photo we just proceed to the table for our coffee break. Thank you very much.
Because you know everything that Amadou said about me, but that I'm a member of the DFA-GAY. I'm also a member of the board of DFA-GAY and work with this group. But every day in my daily life, I'm a journalist communicating to farmers, and I'm not a radio man. I hope you can hear my voice anyway, but I write on the internet and in the journal and in magazines for farmers. So I write about politics, but also about new technology so they can increase production and yield. So that's what I spend the most of my time with. And my background is I have a master's degree in agriculture. I worked as extension worker and things like that for 10 years. For the last 14 years I have been working as a journalist, and I have a diploma in journalism. Thank you.
I'll give you a report of issues surrounding the farmer. So Mr. Yankuba, the floor is all yours. You have 1 hour for your presentation. If you can do it less than 1 hour, it's okay. So, and after that we will have the next presentation, and then we will divide the groups for the group work. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Sam Mendy. As he said, my name is Yankuba Dabo. I'm here to give you the little I have about my presentation. I'm the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Agriculture, Danish Food and Agricultural Journalist, Agricultural Education Service. My colleague from the UTG, Executive Secretary in Alpha, President National Farmers Platform, the Gambia, President NECOFAC, all media present here, participants and all other protocols respectfully observed. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I would like to give the gathering a brief description about the National Farmers Platform, the Gambia. The National Farmers Platform, the Gambia was established in the Gambia in 1997. The objective of the organization is to constitute a credible and acceptable framework which will genuinely cater for the general interest of farmers through advocacy and presentation in the decision-making process of government, non-governmental, local administration, international and donor agencies interested in the welfare of the farmers. So Chairman, NFPG has a total membership of over 365 farm associations from across the 7 regions in the Gambia. The platform is represented throughout the Gambia with representations in each district and region. The platform has a constitution and is legally registered. The district committees in each region are composed of representatives of farmers in different villages within the district. The regional committees are composed of district farmer representations in each region, and the National Executive Committee is composed of regional representatives and co-opted members. We came from TREC, we are able to meet the governors concerning about that, and then we started from the area councillors, pass it to the governors, and we are now waiting on to meet the parliament so that we take this document to parliament for improvement. Land tenure system continues to marginalize women in favor of men farmers because land in the Gambia is also highly fragmented. The production of capacity of farmers, especially women farmers, are greatly limited. And in our own communities, the communities we come from, you can realize that fertilizer, you wait until November, that is not useful to the farmer. Lack of seed preservation techniques. They have their seeds, but how do they preserve the seeds? Sometimes you have your good quality seed, but maybe mixed up with other seeds because you don't have the preservation techniques. Pest and disease problem. Presently, you can realize that the produce are also affected because of the pest and disease attack at the farm. And then there's no other herbicide that they can use in their farms to at least eradicate those things in the farm. Insufficiency or even uneven distribution of rainfall, which leads to drought in some areas, and drought which is major natural hazard in the Gambia today, with about 30% drop in annual rainfall. And in the Gambia, farmers solely depend on rainfall, and then if there is uneven distribution of rainfall, we cannot get what we want in the farming. Lack of credit facilities for farmers. Credit available is mostly from the commercial banks, charging very high interest rates. Accessing these loans is also a problem as farmers lack the collateral required as a guarantee for the loans. So this is something that they are also facing presently, and I believe this gathering will come up with these issues that can remedy those situations. Access to farm implements is a major problem for farmers. To date, farming is done using traditional methods, which results in low output. And then we are talking about grow what you eat and eat what you grow. So to come to that, we also need to get material that is going to help us to engage ourselves into commercialized farming instead of subsistence farming. Majority of the farmers lack the modern technique of farming, the new farming technology, because if you go to the wider world, you realize that farmers are the richest. But in the Gambia, those who are engaged in farming, we term them as the poorest.
Once again, my name is Dr. Yapa. So I'm going to be serve as a resource person on the second section of this activity. And maybe I need to give you a test after my presentation. So if you score 60% or above, I'll give you $1. $1 is too small? Yeah, $1. I think $1 should come from its source. What are the challenges? I have come up with challenges, and I have also come up with possible solutions on how I think you should apply those in order to overcome the challenges. But I think Mr. Madi Sisi has preempted some of my information here in the morning session. For example, one of those things is to have a background information. But to start with, first you said three keywords that I chose from the title. That is reporting, effective, and challenges. Okay, because before you start on writing on anything or talking about anything, you look for keywords that you should convey to your listeners so that they can fully understand the subject matter. Because in my opinion, I think a lot of people will be talking about some of these things while they have very little knowledge on what they mean. So that's why I started my discussion with those three keywords. The first one is reporting. According to Collins Dictionary definition of reporting, it says detailing account of an event, situation, etc., usually based on observation or inquiry. If you're reporting, you try to detail a statement or detail an analysis based on observation or inquiry. For example, you come to me, you want to know about me, who Dr. Yafa is, you inquire from me, or you observe my behavior. Then, based on your observation and inquiry, you should be able to write good information. You should be able to report something that is effective. Now, the next word is effective. What does it mean? It says capable of producing a result. Any activity that you do that will end in achieving a result is considered effective. For example, right now I'm sleepy. So that's an effective thing, right? Because I ate rice, I am full, and I'm feeling sleepy. So the objective is for me to take a nap. That's a result. Or if you want to overthrow a government, what would be the effective way of overthrowing the government? Illegally. You take a gun, right? So if you take a gun and you overthrow a government, so that's effective because you have effective change. That's another example. So there are many, many examples that you can do. So if you want to report on agricultural economics or agricultural marketing in the Gambia, if your writing will influence policy, if your reporting will influence the policy of the Gambia government through the Ministry of Agriculture in order to make marketing an accessible and an affordable activity for farmers in this country, that's a positive change. So that's a change. So that is effective. And finally is challenge. Challenge simply means, according to Collins Dictionary definition, is a difficulty in a job or undertaking that is stimulating to one engaged in it. If you're doing these activities in order to get a result, positive result, but it is stimulating to you, and you face difficulties in getting that information. So in getting that information, if you go through difficulties, but you still persist, you stay in it. That's a challenge. That's the definition of challenge. So whatever you guys doing, I'm not a journalist by profession, but I love reporting. I love reporting on agriculture. I don't know, maybe somebody can rectify me. That would be classified as being a journalist. But I don't call myself as a journalist because I'm not going through the process of being trained as a journalist. But reporting, yes. I do that every day. So in order for you to be, as journalists, if you try to get information from any source, but you're excited about that, it is stimulating for you, but you find it difficult to get that information. So that is a challenge. So now, I go on to the topic now. What are the challenges that you journalists, and I, the reporter, I face it every day? What are the challenges that you and I go through in order to get the information and the right full information? I'm not talking about false information. Okay? So what challenges do we go through? I said the first one, if everybody has a daily news, under the law you are not their employee. So they will pay you, then you come to SNS Consulting, you write for our website, newspaper, or our website, information site, they will pay you. You go to Observer newspaper. At least if you have 3 newspapers that you can write for in a month, assuming that each of them pays you, let's say $1,000 a month. How much is that? $3,000, right? That's twice, 100% more than what you used to earn from Daily Observer, from Daily News. So that is the trick. Because I have other opportunities, otherwise. Because I want to write for other newspapers so that I can increase my income. That's the way you're gonna make money. But how can you do that One, you have to take care of all the challenges that I highlighted and put in practice all the possible solutions that I mentioned so that you can become a very good and effective reporter on agriculture. On that note, Mr. Chair, I thank you very much for listening.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Yafa, for that brilliant presentation that you have made. Actually, I think the audience here, or the participants have really learned a lot from your presentation. Without much ado, we will entertain a few questions as time is not.
Oh, my baby.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Are we hungry?
Yeah.
We have extra 3 hours to stay here before food is ready. Is that okay? Okay. Once again, let me seize this opportunity to welcome you to the second day of the seminar, Cultural Journalism.
There, because that's what we have to have on our mind all the time during this seminar, and it's for Finn and me very important to get impressions from that. And the field trip was also about that. And the farms we visited, we talked to them what are the problems they have on the farms and fish farms also. The first one is maybe not the fish farms. That was fencing is a big problem for the farmers. They say a cow can go through the fence and damage a whole lot in a very short time, not just eating the crops, but walking around in the crops, and you lose it. Another problem almost everybody mentioned to us was that the wells, they are undermined by the water, and then you have to dig new wells.
Yes, and I will talk about how to solve. And I will go 1 year back when I was here first time. That time I visited a handful of farms in the Banjul area, and what I recognized is that the problems I saw 1 year ago are the same today in the farms. So nothing has changed on that year. And what I remember from 1 year ago, I live in the hotel a little bit from here, in the La Bato Hotel, and there I met an NGO. It was a guy from the Gambia, a guy who was head of an NGO who shares shoes for children. Tom's, I don't know if you know that organization. He was going to share about 35,000 shoes for the Gambian children. And he told me that we talked a lot about how to develop the country. And he told me it don't help to give the people money. Because if you give the people money, the man in the family will buy a new mobile phone and sit and play with that. And it don't need help to give people food. For if you give them food, you...
In that respect, the media can help the farmers. So we also ask the farmers, how can the media help you? What do you expect from the media, and how will they help you to do better? And what they said to us is, for example, that they expect that the radio stations give technical advice on how to farm and how to market the products. For example, by giving information to people that now it's time to come and buy vegetables or crops at this and that place. In that respect, the media can be helpful and give technical advice on if there's a certain pest in an area. Well, then they can get specific advice on how to deal with that, making seed beds and what time to sow and so many things. They also would like that the media tell success stories of farmers. That could be examples like the example Finn just gave about the 5 men who had managed to not only grow food for themselves but grow crops to sell, and earn money and improve their lives. And they also mentioned that they want to get information about all the problems to decision makers. All the problems I mentioned before, they want decision makers to hear what are the problems for farmers, so they know what farmers have, and so they potentially can get some help in one or another way. That's what they would like to. And the farmers told us when we asked them that they listen a lot to radio, but they are also open to other media than radio. Many people have a cell phone, and they would like to receive a text message on the cell phone, even though if they cannot read, they will show it to the children who can read, and if it's an important message that would be useful to them, it could also be a weather forecast they could ask for by cell phone, so they know, so they can use that in planning the farm. And there were even some farmers far away with bad radio connection. They also wanted to get information through the internet, and well, they do not all have computers and internet, but if it's a community, they will share, so they can go to some places where they have internet access and can find answers and solutions to some of their problems. And it was also mentioned in one place that they want a moving cinema with a video about problems. That's the way they think media can help them, the farmers. We also visited training centers and research centers, and what they expect from the media is that, well, they want to be seen so they can get more funds, because it's not fun to make research and train if nobody knows what they are doing. But they also want to, when they do research, inform the farmers about better farming, so the knowledge they create, it gets out to the farmers, to empower farmers and justify the work they do in the research stations. And some of them are a little disappointed that they were never visited by a radio station when they do so much work and research. And Finn, the radio stations.
Yes. The radio station has problem as well. And when we ask them, we get the same picture almost for every radio station. They have the same problems, all of them. And the first problem, lack of money. No money. And the need for money to buy electricity and power so they can send the program. They have bad equipment. It's computers, recorders, and all that stuff, and software to editing programs and all that. They have lack of internet, so it's hard to communicate with the other radio station and the rest of the world. The need for, I told it before, the need for transportation, so the employee can go out and meet the farmers and the experts outside the radio station. They have lack of education. Most of the people working in the radio station are volunteers without education about journalism and agriculture. And they need knowledge to be better at editing and design programs. And one thing that was new for us on this trip, it was that more radio stations want to learn about marketing. So they learned about how to improve their income and have a better economy so that they can improve all what they do in the radio station. So
Okay. So we move into the presentation itself. The political problems we have. Yesterday someone made a presentation here and said he visited a police station and identified himself and showed himself as a police officer and saluted, and the police officer really treated him very well. And he went to another police station dressed like me here and said, and greeted. The next response is, I'm not talking to you, you journalists always want to misquote me. So we always hear this. Wherever you go, they tell you, I don't want to talk to you because you misquote us. You don't say what I say. So in that effect, government officials are afraid of giving information because they claim that it's a claim. I don't know how true it is. As far as I'm concerned, I see it as a claim. They claim that we always misquote them. Is this really the case? Do we misquote them, or there is something that is binding, that is stopping them from talking to the journalists? And that takes us to the next one, bureaucratic steps of reaching the right source. If you are a practicing journalist in the Greater Banjul area here, you want to access information from the director. You go to the office. Once they know you are a journalist, you might go into a lot of steps to get to the director. And sometimes, like Siddharth said, Dr. Yafa said yesterday, you don't just have to back off because you are going into a lot of hurdles. You still have to persevere and go on. But there are these issues, bureaucratic steps of getting to the right sources. Journalist director. With the government, sometimes it's difficult to know which is government project and who do I get to. So to cover that, you really need to affiliate yourself with those kind of information. You need to know which government officials do I need if I need information about pests or about fertilizer also. And for the community radios, they don't have this problem as far as our trade is concerned. What we got from them, they did not highlight any political problem that they are faced with as far as getting access to information is concerned. Why? Because they rely on government officials to run their agricultural programs. Most of them rely on extension workers and employees of the agri department in the regions to run their agricultural programs. So, in a nutshell, I don't think they have that problem. When it comes to equipment, this one is related. The first one here, outdated recording equipment, is related to the community radios. Some of them are using tape recorders. We are made to understand. And these tape recorders, these tape cassettes are hardly seen in the market now. So they are outdated. So if you use tape recorders to conduct your interview from the field, and now you want to edit it to prepare a product for production, that means you have to take the amount of hours you spent in interviewing to download that into a computer if possible. And these outdated tape recorders are not even compatible to download in the computer. So if you take 3 hours to in the field, you will take 3 hours to download and possibly take 6 hours to edit. Yeah. Or even more than 6 hours to edit, because editing requires you taking your time, listening very well, and knowing where to cut, what you need and what you don't need. So that is a big problem, it's a big challenge. Lack of recorders, in bracket I put digital recorders, which is going to make our job easier if we are if we are working in the radios. In the Greater Banjul area here, I don't think that is a big problem for commercial radio stations and newspapers. The community radios also lack the computers and laptops to download and edit. If you have a digital recorder, you still need a digital machine, that is, for example, a laptop or a computer, and you need a software to be able to download this thing and edit the material that you have. And all these things cost money, which, like Finn said, all the community radios lack money. You need a software to edit and save your material, and you can save it in the computer for a very long time. Even if you lose your computer, the hard drives, in the hard drive you can still retrieve some of these things. Above all, they also lack the skill to edit modern software. Some of them are using Audacity, and that's a bit outdated now. There are new editing softwares that they will need and things like that. So as far as equipment is concerned, I have centered my presentation on the community radios. The newspapers may have equipment problem in the sense they might have limited laptops or limited computers in their offices. Because if you have limited computers in your office, you will not quickly finish your production. So maybe Madi can help us identify.
I just want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Do you have solutions for that?
Yeah. Yes, we have. We have suggested. I have suggested some solutions. Okay.
To talk about.
Okay. Maybe when we get there. Yeah. Transportation. This cut across both the print and the electronic media. I have been a journalist myself. I have been a reporter. I started from voluntary. When I was volunteering, I pay more than $100 every day to come from my house to my radio and to my coverage place and then get back to my home. The radio never gave me anything. When I was in fact, I did that for a couple of years and I saw that there is no way I can continue doing that. I can write good stories, let me go to the newspaper and freelance, and they pay me per story. And that paid well for me. So mobility is a big problem. Mobility of the journalists to and fro their destination, from your office to your intended source. You have an intention to get to Madi Sise in Sarebojo. He is your source. You heard that Madi is a very successful farmer. And you want to do a success story about Madi. You tell your media house, let's say your newspaper, that I want to go to Sarebojo. How much does it cost to go to Sarebojo? $800. That story might not sell for $800. So your editor will not see the need for you to go for that story. So they will say, oh, we don't have funds for you to go to Sarebojo. In the newspapers, that is how it happened. In the community radio stations, the same thing. They want you to get to all the farmer communities, but access to having transport to get there is a problem. It's not that the roads are not available. The roads are available, but the money to get you there is not available. Transport allowance is not readily available. Because of these three problems, some of us we rely on readily made news, such as workshops, such as press releases. You sit in the office and news comes in and you publish it. You only sit in your, and we need to talk about that.
The editors are to blame too.
Are they?
Yeah. No,
Community radios. The medium of communication is the local languages as far as your programming are concerned, especially in agriculture. So language is not a big problem. You operate based on the languages surrounding your communities. But in case English is spoken, translation becomes a problem because it takes specially skilled persons to translate effectively. For example, Bakari Fati, if he translates in Mandinka, I have no doubt that what he's saying is accurate. But if somebody wants to translate what is said in English in Mandinka, then there can be a problem. And even if it is Bakari Fati who is translating English to Mandinka, he might add or reduce something that is being said. You cannot say things exactly the way they are said. So, but if you are to do this translation, be careful you don't misinform your audience. Yesterday this was highlighted that journalism knowledge is also another problem. Most journalists have not had a journalism education. You don't need to have a journalism education to be a good journalist, but it also guides you to become better. In your first presentation, he noticed that, or in your own presentations, you noticed that our qualification stops at senior secondary school. Most of the people working in the media, and you recommend that there is a need for capacity building, and there was a lot of debate here about who builds whose capacity. Is it me, the journalist, me, the individual, who should build my own capacity, or is it my media house that should build my capacity?
Well, first of all, the biggest challenge to agribusiness is the age of the population. In one way, it's a blessing, but as far as the agricultural population is concerned, it's not a blessing. The age of the average farmer is old. Young people don't want to work on the farm. Added to that is that most of our production inputs are imported. Yet we want to compete on the same market as other places, other producers. In agribusiness, there is a whole lot of things that are missing or very poorly developed in this country. One area is the lack of analytical laboratories. There are a lot of things that if you want to produce for the bigger export market, you have to do some analysis. Yes, we have the National Agricultural Institute, which has a lab. They do some analysis. You have the National Water Quality Lab, they do analysis. You have the Fisheries Lab, they do analysis. But all these labs have not yet been accredited. Their standards, they are not rated against any standard. So there are some certification processes, some standards that if you want to export to, you cannot, because you don't have the labs that can do the analysis for you that are acceptable, unless you send the samples overseas to do the analysis. Agribusiness, like the name says, is a business. And not all of us are business-minded. We don't have the culture to do business. So we need to have some services that will help us be better business people. Now it's being developed. In my office, we are supporting several business development services. But of course, the costs are high, and so beyond the reach of the average business person in the Gambia in agribusiness. In agriculture, you use a lot of equipment.
What you're doing, why should you get scared to let others shine with you if you know something? See, when I say we get it difficult, when we sit in that office of ours and email them, we don't get any information. Device, yeah. But when we go to them, meet them, they give us information. And they give us information because they know us. I mean, I can give you a clear example. Samsar of Korea is my classmate. He called me to give me information. I said that type of information is not from me. It should be from the ministry. if the ministry gives go ahead to me, I will say it. But that one is for the Minister of Agriculture, and for that matter, Permanent Secretary. What policy? That's the policy. No, can you reply to the ministry? Because he was talking about the what was the subject again? In fact, it was about the total tonnage of the cost we go. The ministry will pass you to DOP. They will surely give you the report. Because we ourselves, we get information from DOP. But to me, honestly, it's just that maybe, to me it's not a policy. Maybe they don't want to answer questions. But I hear most of them on news, giving news about the programs they have conducted on television and on radio. So why do they get scared? That's why I say, if you know your subject, don't get scared to answer questions from it. This is the fact. But if you go to someone, I mean, if you go, many, they know that he's not prepared to answer the question, or he doesn't know the subject.
Yes, Mr. used by the registration. Someone is using the registration, the transport, the vehicle for his own interest. Therefore, sometimes lack of standby generator. Some registration do not have a generator, a standby generator. If there is not electricity, they put the generator on and make sure the program keeps on running. There is no generator. Sometimes some legislation have generator. There is no funds to buy fuel to keep the generator keep on running. No standby transmitter. I gave an example here that the Farafenye registration, their transmitter had a problem during the rainy season because of a thunder. And they were off air for 1 month, 2 months. They don't have a transmitter. I think when the network has a standby transmitter, you can give them that transmitter. For the meantime, they repair their own transmitter so that the community there, the people they are serving, will know that yes, the registration is there for us. Next slide, please. And thank you very much. This is all what I have for you. If you have any question or suggestion or anything to add, you can just add on.
Especially the community radios and the journalists, communicators have a big role to play. I have to keep repeating this. We have a big role to play, and this big role cannot be done in isolation. The government, we need your support in partnering, partnering to make sure that those people, the projects that have been implemented for the farmers are known to some of the farmers. For some farmers, you ask them about the project, they don't even know about the project. They cannot tell you much about the project. So this is what we are calling for, information, where we want to make sure we partner with you to make sure that information that the communicators will need to give to the public, especially expert advice, is readily available and can be accessible easily. So just to say that those are the few words I want to add on to this before we hear from you. And please, we will...
Good afternoon. The Deputy Permanent Secretary, Minister of Agriculture, President of the Network of Agricultural Communicators. Mr. Mark Sise, representing the Gambian Press Union, the representative of the Danish Food and Agricultural journalists, participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is my humble pleasure and honor to give the closing remarks at this very important workshop for agricultural journalists, organized by the Network of Agricultural Communicators in the Gambia in partnership with the Danish Food and Agricultural Journalists. It is my hope that you have found the workshop to be worthy of your time, and that it has prepared you for the challenges of accurate and timely reporting of agricultural matters, as we strive to achieve food and nutrition security. Your participation in this workshop at this time is very crucial, as we rely on the media to know what the players in the agricultural sector are doing to provide affordable, wholesome food to the citizens. Therefore, we depend on you for credible information right from the source. This is clearly reflected in the theme of the workshop. How can improved agricultural journalism help fight poverty and food insecurity in the Gambia? This workshop has been organized to help facilitate your access to that information and enable you to help to report truthfully and on time. Ladies and gentlemen, the media plays a key role in reporting on and analyzing the state and advancements in the agricultural sector. We all know that enlightened citizenry is a key ingredient in our development process. Apart from treating the agricultural sector as a top priority, the government of the Gambia, under the able leadership of His Excellency Sheikh Professor Dr. A.J. Dami, clearly values and encourages a free and independent media. That is why the Gambia administration has been consistently engaged in constructive media development in the Gambia. I encourage you all to maintain a healthy relationship with the Department of Agriculture's Communication, Extension, and Education Services. They have a wealth of experience, information, and invaluable archive material that is relevant to your field of journalism. The Ministry of Agriculture's website is also another tool that the media and other stakeholders can use to get the most updated information on farming-related matters. The website is to be updated and a dedicated IT person appointed to manage it. The website of the Central Projects Coordinating Unit, which is currently under construction, will be another source of information, particularly for the projects falling under the Gambia National Agricultural Investment Plan. We will all be duly notified of its launch date. Ladies and gentlemen, I have many friends in the media profession. I've got Sego, Malik Jones, I've got Kamara, Prince, Cherno Bob, Aidaba, Ambong Jarama, Namori Trawale, Fatu Saho, Abdullah Nyoke, Lavin Cham, Haji Drame, Fabsen, I count as my own. Today, I had doubt about my list of friends. My interactions with various Gambian media practitioners has given me an insight from a customer's point of view. And I wish to share one or 2 points that may help improve your reporting. Remember, as members of the Fourth Estate, you are accountable to the general public and have a responsibility to report in a balanced manner that tells the truth with a touch of sensationalism to boost your sales. After all, you must make a living. These are my personal points that I think you may find useful. 1. Carefully proofread your stories. If necessary, enroll in short courses on writing and English. It is so simple. You can check a story simply by going online. Within 5 minutes, you can know whether the person is telling you something that has any substance on it. And thirdly, and this is a difficult one, do not personalize issues. Issues that become personal ignore logic, the truth, and will cloud your judgment. If need be, stay away from stories that are too personal to you. It's difficult to do, but try and condition yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, please allow me to thank all of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come and participate in this workshop. I particularly welcome the participants from Denmark. I hope that they had a fruitful and enjoyable stay in the Gambia. We wish them a safe journey back home. On behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture and the Gambia government, I thank the people and government of Denmark, through the Danish Food and Agricultural Journalists, for financing this workshop. We also thank the organizers, the Network of Agricultural Communicators, for organizing this workshop, and assure them that the government of the Gambia support and encourage them to keep the momentum as they disseminate vital information to the stakeholders in the agricultural sector, contributing their just quota to our food and nutrition scale. With those few remarks, I declare this session closed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we have the certificates here so that